I want to be somewhere in the middle. So I'm really that Trishanku na ghar ka na ghat ka.
We are watching a lot of things, but we're not writing about everything we watch.
There was a point in my early 20s I used to watch everything that would release in theaters and review about 4 or 5 a week.
Nobody should watch as many movies as we watch because they're usually bad. In a good year, there are maybe 4 good movies.
Where they formed a bond with you, where they actually come back to you saying, "Tujhe achhi lagi, to mujhe nahi lagegi."
Yeah, that's my whole career, right? I mean, we've all gone through it. It's just that I go through it more. First of all, it's a myth.
I would say I'm still finding my voice. And God, I've done it for 30 plus years.
I would like to make a case against hate watching. It's just lazy and it's passive, and you're doing it and you're saying the same things that everyone is saying. You're not adding anything to either the conversation or to your own enjoyment.
And I think the perfect antidote to crappy scrolling is great cinema.
My priorities are to begin with Hindi cinema, which gets hard, as you can imagine. But yeah, that's what I have to do.
I'm going to start off by asking each of you that we're drowning in content, it seems like, but I'd say more than most, you are the guys who are searching for the best stories. So, as critics, how do you decide which story every week gets your time specifically? Is it a function of a filmmaker who you followed, an actor whose trajectory you're watching, or because it's the most important thing that week? So,
Well, I think I'm a little luckier than some of the people here because I don't have to watch a release every week. So I haven't seen Tere Ishq Mein or whatever. That leaves it up to me to decide what I should see. And there's so much content now on streaming, and because the Hindi films aren't doing well in theaters, there's a lot of international cinema in our theaters as well. So there's a lot of great stuff out there. So I think, yes, all the things that you mentioned, you follow an actor, you follow a director, but I think it's just about trying to see what you feel will add something to the discourse. I mean, we are watching a lot of things, but we're not writing about everything we watch. So it's about trying to find something that you think can open up a conversation, a dialogue with the reader that can lead to something a little better than just a polarized yes-no opinion, something that opens up a conversation.
thank you, Raja. Of course, Raja's escaped that, but the rest of you haven't. You have teams. You can say, I'll take this, you take this. So, Anu, I want to ask you, how do you take this?
So for me, at the Hollywood Reporter India, it's like we have different people doing different language cinemas. So my main responsibility is Hindi. So every week, and I do video, Rahul does print. So for me, I have to do whatever the major Hindi films are in that week. And then it's whatever else I can find time for and I would love to do. That's essentially like my priorities are to begin with Hindi cinema, which gets hard, as you can imagine. But yeah, that's what I have to do.
I must say, Hindi cinema is missing you quite a bit, Anu, because there's a lot of love recently that is for other cinema. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Rahul, how do you pick?
As she said, I do print for Hollywood Reporter. My beat is obviously Hindi cinema. But I also do shows, so that takes up a large part of my week because it's basically everything Hindi, and it could be short films also once in a while. So I don't often have the luxury to go into other languages if I want to, because I hear of a great film either from the south or the east every other week, but I just don't have the time. And that's also because I'm very thoroughly covering Hindi cinema, and it's a lot of stuff you don't want to watch also. But it gives you a bigger picture of what's happening right now. And I think that also helps you write a more informed opinion about, how many ways can you say it's bad in, or how many ways can you don't want to dismiss films, so you need to come from different directions. And that only happens if you know what's happening around. And I think I'm in a position where I can watch everything, and most critics may not, because it depends on our beats. But yeah, it's a boon and a bane, but I'm not complaining.
Well, thank you so much for that. Mayank?
Well, I mean, in terms of work, of course, I will watch the big release of that particular weekend. That's a mandate almost. There was a point in my early 20s I used to watch everything that would release in theaters and review about 4 or 5 a week, which is crazy. I would have lost my mind if I continued doing that. I don't know, maybe I've already lost my mind. I'm not aware of it yet. But, so that's the film part of it, and usually the big Bollywood release, as it were. With series, I think, I mean, I don't envy Rahul's job. It's not an easy thing to sit through hours and hours of it and then eventually realize that, you know what, it's not going anywhere after the 5th episode. But now you already invested, right? There's that sunken cost fallacy. Now, where do you go? Do you go further or do you stop here? But you already spent 3 hours, 4 hours of your life. So then I will pick one that everyone's talking about. And that tends to happen with movies in general anyway, right? And happens with series as well. It's called the Bader-Meinhof effect, where suddenly you just see everyone just talking about the same thing. And now you're curious, so you go check that out. So in that sense, yeah, it will be something that everyone's talking about. I don't want to miss out on that conversation starter, as it were. But in terms of work, purely in terms of work, I will pick the big Bollywood release. In terms of pleasure, personal pleasure, and this has been my sort of my hobby lately, because we tend to spend so much time on our phones, right? And I think the perfect antidote to crappy scrolling is great cinema.
Thank you. I mean, first of all, it's not easy to watch. Then you have to watch, process, and then you have to then, make it accessible to an audience that's then going to pick as per you. But sometimes audiences could do the opposite, and this Raja and I were talking about it yesterday, where he said, or not, where you say, okay, I identify so much with a movie critic and what he's going to say or she's going to say now, that I know कि अगर उसे अच्छी लगी तो मुझे तो बिल्कुल नहीं लगेगी. But for that, before we get there, it's very important for you to find your own voice. So I want to ask each of you, when did each of you actually discover your voice in a criticism context?
I've been doing this for many, many years now, so 20 plus years. So I think I started out writing about cinema just out of pure passion for it, and not really, I didn't realize what a holy cow cinema was in this country, right? It's just so worshipped and so fetishized, and people literally have temples in their name. So I just wrote about it like a irreverent mid-20 something. I was writing, and that was when the comment sections flooded open on Rediff, and this is before Twitter or Facebook or anything existed. There used to be I Hate Raja Sen groups on Orkut. So, but when those things opened, I suddenly realized that there is a great reaction and people are really engaging with the work. So it deserves a little more of your attention. And then at every point, you want to better yourself. See, the thing is, nobody watches as many movies as we watch, right? Like, nobody should watch as many movies as we watch because they're usually bad. In a good year, there are maybe 4 good movies. This year, there's 1 good movie, right? So it's not a good year for cinema. So, but people are watching stuff. So I think the idea was always that when I'm writing a review, that it should hold something of value, even to someone who is not interested in the film. It should be interesting, or it should be funny, or it should be clever. It should be something that isn't beholden to just the film. It should be a standalone work. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Raja. Anu, for you?
I would say I'm still finding my voice. I don't know if I've found a voice. It's still, and God, I've done it for 30 plus years. So, like early 90s. Like I still get, like it's an exam. Like I'm going to watch a film, and now more often than not, they're not showing it to you even on a Thursday evening. You walk in on a Friday morning, you have to figure out how you feel about it in the next 2 hours, and then I have to record my video. So I feel like it's just such a high pressure, and please, none of us are curing cancer, so I'm not saying that at all. But still, for what it's worth, it's a slightly high pressure environment also because, people have spent 2 years making that movie, and you really hurt people when you say you didn't like it. I mean, I'm really aware of that. So for me, it's still, every review is a struggle in the sense of I really want to be truthful to how I feel. I really want to make a thesis for how I feel. See, I'm not here to just say, oh, this was good, this was bad. I want to say that this was like this for me, only for me, and this is why I felt this way. So I'm not even really sure, like I can say, oh, I found my voice. I just don't have that confidence.
I just want to say thank you for that absolute lesson in humility, Anu. That was beautiful. Thank you. Rahul, your voice makes quite a few shudder. I mean, I remember it used to be Raja Sen when he used to be writing a weekly column, but now they are like Rahul Desai, yaar. Usko to kuch nahi pasand aata.
Haha, we get this all the time. And then Rahul liked Sayara. Oh my God. That was the biggest event of this year, I will have you know.
Rahul,
I mean, I'm confident about my voice. It's just different in every review. It depends on the film also. I think versatility is very important when you're doing it day in and day out, which I am. And sometimes I find myself writing really differently for shows compared to films. The tone, the language, the way I approach something. So I leave enough room for that. I don't know. I think it's the same with a lot of filmmakers also. When you see a film, you immediately know, oh, this is a Spielberg film. There are things that stand out and there are themes. I think it's the same with writers also. You immediately recognize from your turns of phrase or I don't know, your puns or how bitter you can be in reviews. I just try to be as different as possible because if I love a film, I know only I can love that film like that and nobody else can. First and foremost, my love is writing, it's not cinema. I've always come from that space. I'm obsessed with words, I'm obsessed with sentences, I'm obsessed with the way thoughts flow. Cinema is just a medium for me. So I'm not like, I am a cinema watcher, I am a cinephile, but not any greater than anyone else here or not any lesser. So for me, it's a medium. It could have been sports. I do write about sports and I find myself liking those pieces more than the reviews because they give you more to explore sometimes because it's real. And with cinema, it's can be limited after a while. So you have to keep finding ways to say the same thing, to also sort of discover new aspects of yourself. Because when I started, it was very different. It's not like I started like 20 years ago. It's been, but so many things have changed in the last 5 or 6 years. You have to be constantly on the watch. You have to be constantly online for that as well, I feel. I think it's important, and I think that's where we get most of our information from. So yeah, just to be updated and to basically not worry about what anyone else thinks.
thank you. That's a great tip. Thank you for sharing, Rahul. Mayank?
I mean, I'm the last guy speaking, so everyone's pretty much said everything I needed to say. But,
No, the
I agree.
question is, when did you find your voice?
Yeah, well, I agree with Anupama. I don't know what is a voice. I think the word voice means style, right? But before that is actually the fact of, which would be true for any writing, is that the distance between what you think and what you write should be zero. And that's where you begin from. And then, of course, over time, you develop what is a style or a voice that just happens naturally by doing it again and again. It's iteration, right? But on Raja's point, I think a review should stand on its own as a piece to be read for its own worth, regardless of whether you'll watch the film or you won't watch the film. More and more, we make it about mujhe achhi lagi, buri lagi. Arey, who gives a shit? Yaar, what is so great about I liked it or did not like it, right? That is not the point. And that's, I mean, I used to be a film reviewer. We all used to be film reviewers, but now everyone's a film reviewer. And Shakespeare never said this cliche, but everyone, like opinion, like a-holes, and everyone has one, which is true. So it's not much to say I didn't like something. What anyone should be looking for, and at least I do when I read anything, and it could be a piece in cricket, it could be a travelogue, and it could be written by Rahul, it could be written by me, it doesn't have to be films, is a perspective. And I think perspective is way more important than opinion. That makes reading far more enjoyable as a process, and therefore writing far more enjoyable as a process. So yeah, I think voice is an ongoing thing, and I hope it keeps getting better.
Well, thank you so much for that. But you're absolutely right, because we need to define the difference between criticism and opinion. I think a lot of us pass off opinion as criticism when we pull out our camera phones and we say, Maza nahi aaya. And I think that is honestly the single worst way to destroy any sort of, opinion on your film, because you're just like, what does that even mean? So I'm sure that all of you have spent time to say, Maza nahi aaya, why? Right? And that is what makes you who you are. But I want to ask you, do you also have to watch things that you don't like? What they call hate watch. Because, yaar, sab baat kar rahe hain, you know. So how do you deal with that? Or do you not deal with it? Or if something really bursts on the scene, which is like the film that's making, you know, all the money at the box office, or this series that everybody's talking about, given that you don't have the pressure to review it at this point, what do you do? Do you have to watch it?
No, I avoid it. I would like to make a case against hate watching. I think it's a part of the culture a lot now. People are watching things just to hate on them. But honestly, these platforms and these gatekeepers are taking all those views and making more content like that. So don't watch trash to hate on it, because they're just going to lead to a lot more trash. We are in a sea of garbage content as it stands. So I think don't hate watch stuff. Life's too short. There's too much great stuff to discover, to watch, to find, you know, see what the filmmakers you like, see what are the films they like, you know, look at, just read up on cinema, try to be completist. You like a director, try to follow that director's work throughout, watch it chronologically. Just try to form your own opinions there. I mean, hate watching is just lazy and it's passive, and you're doing it and you're saying the same things that everyone is saying. You know, you're saying, oh, this person acted badly, oh, this is cringe, oh, this person can't speak Hindi and has a Sobo accent. I mean, you're not adding anything to either the conversation or to your own enjoyment. So I would say don't hate watch.
I want to ask you how video has killed the criticism star, because I really feel that this is something that has changed the game. You know, the minute you were writing, and all of you come from writing, you know, your reviews, and you're saying it should stand as a piece on its own, all of that. But all of that works when you're only talking about the writing, the written word. What happens when everybody is now in the pressure? Anu, Raja and I were talking about this yesterday, where he actually said, you and Rajiv were the first two people who actually went out there and started doing your reviews on camera at a time when we didn't even have smartphones, guys. I mean, that's true, because it wasn't like you could just shoot it on your phone and upload it. And you truly, and look at what, I don't know, this deserves a round of applause, because honestly, back then, you look at it and say, you know what, people actually want to engage with us, they want to see us, because not everybody was comfortable being on camera. So tell us, take us back to that time when you first did it, and how did that change the grammar of criticism for you?
So my first video review was Guru, which I think is 2000, 2003 maybe. Yeah. So, but it wasn't a choice I made, Rohini. It was more NDTV called me and said, would you like to try this? And I was like, okay. Like, I don't think this could ever happen anywhere else, where you give a complete newbie a half-hour show on primetime television. And it was very funny, because obviously I'm reading off an auto cue, and in the beginning, like, my eyes would be going like this, and you could see that, and it was really, really embarrassing. But I couldn't do it any other way, and my friend and mentor Smriti Kiran actually taught me how to read off an auto cue. So the weird thing is that because my entire roots are in writing, I still write. I cannot just see a movie and get in front of a camera and start talking. I have no ability to do that. But I don't write like these guys, the three of them write. I mean, they're beautiful writers, and they're crafting sentences. And the truth is, if I'm crafting a sentence for video, you've lost the audience. Because if there are too many buts and ands, you've got to speak in short sentences. But I'm still writing. And so the only thing that's changed for me is that I have to be aware that I can't string one sentence over like 3 commas, because wo follow hi nahi karenge. You know? But I'm still like, so I'm in this no man's land between, I mean, I don't have the ability. These guys have to craft a sentence anyway. They're all three of them are just incredible writers. But I don't want to be dumbing it down for video either. You know, that's not joyful for me. So I want to be somewhere in the middle. So I'm really that Trishanku na ghar ka na ghat ka, basically.
No, I love that. Also, because I think who would have thought that people would actually want to watch a review of a movie also in the same medium, which is on video, right? So, but there are people who are lapping it up. They want to know what you have to say. They want to know what anybody has to say on this film. And which brings me to So today where we are, like you're playing these taste makers, right? कि हाँ मैं बोलूँगा तो लोग या तो देखेंगे या तो ना देखेंगे. So Rahul, I want to take that question to you actually. So are you aware? Have you interfaced with your audiences where they formed a bond with you, where they actually come back to you saying तुझे अच्छी लगी तो मुझे नहीं लगेगी?
Yeah, that's my whole career, right? I mean, that's like इसको नहीं अच्छी लगी तो बहुत पैसा कमाएगा types. I mean, we've all gone through it. It's just that I go through it more. First of all, it's a myth. It's been perpetuated by all of us here, including ma'am here, that Rahul doesn't like anything. It's just that Rahul watches more than everyone else. So obviously he won't like more than everyone else. But I know for a fact that's your first connection. That's your primal connection with a critic, right? Like it's the opinion, whether we like it or not. My job is to basically not seduce them with the opinion so much. Just, I know they'll be like, if he didn't like the film, okay, he's probably ranting about it. Let's see how creative he is in what he's written. He's probably hated it. But it's to then pull them into my writing and tell them that it's not as binary as that. I'm not telling you to not watch a film. I'm not telling you that I hated the film. I'm just telling you this is what the film is. This is what I think about it. And if you think this is how you want to basically decide what to watch this weekend, because for better or worse, we can't be snobs about it. A lot of people turn to us to decide what they want to do with their free time, which is very precious. I sometimes become a snob and I'll be like, nee, you only read it after watching. That is real writing.
Of course.
But yeah, no, not everyone has that luxury. That's just like a bunch of cinephiles in Warsaw who do that. Yeah. So yeah, for me, I'm very aware of that, but the opinions, I keep, anyone who comes to me be like, I watched your review, I was like, jhoot bol raha hai, I don't do video reviews. That's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and
But your review today, or yesterday actually, for Tere Ishq Mein, which is, as Anu and I were discussing, which is this film needs a restraining order and then the restraining order needs another restraining order. So
see, you can be very creative when you're writing like that. I think in video, and I think one of Anu's great challenges over the years has been to try to make me do video, and I have resisted as almost the last person standing.
Wow.
It's not just me being uncomfortable on video. I'm just very possessive about writing. I'm not being a purist here. I just think you can do things in writing that you cannot do on video. And I know how it sounds, but I believe that. And I started watching criticism of Ebert and all on video, and then I went to the writing. That's how it went. But then I realized that they write a certain way because they do video also. The language changes.
Absolutely.
A couple of times I did like audio during the pandemic because we were trying things. And I realized that I'm thinking differently, I'm crafting my sentences differently, and I don't like it. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm like, this is the one talent I have. If you take it away, I don't even have a degree. So, I need that. So yeah, it's just that video, given how impressionable I am, would change that. And it changed the way I write and think, and maybe I like that too much right now.
What's harder for you personally? Panning a bad film by someone you admire or praising a film by someone who usually you don't admire?
No, I see. The thing is, we started with hate watching, right? And there are lines that you mentioned, and could have been lines more likely to be from movies that someone panned. And the bad movies make for the best reviews. It's almost legit stand-up comedy if you only describe what the hell you saw and you said it in a way that reads well, right? So it doesn't matter. And that's a larger thing about art and artists. When you're watching a film, I don't think I personally think about who made it, but the experience itself.
And the horrible thing is that it's so often that some of our finest critics actually get the trolling on Twitter, and you know what it is. Mostly with criticism, paisa diya hoga, paisa khaya hoga. I don't see any of that money, guys. I just want to say.
I have always wanted to say कि भैया कोई offer तो करे, मतलब just to know कि मेरा price क्या है. Get a sense, but I did get one time, and this was incredible to me, that I got a text message from a PR person, very just matter-of-factly saying that, can we organize a paid review? And I was like, no. But it was like, but I'd still like to know how much they would have paid.
Well, the truth is that there are rate cards, okay? And there are publications, and they do it, and all of that. But there's a reason why I'm speaking to you. Each of you represent cinema, for what it is and for what your relationship with it is. And the fact that because you're there is something that people have forgotten, and that is two words, which is editorial integrity. And I think that only if you have editorial integrity will you command a room with so many young people who want to, of course, be the next generation. So thank you for preserving that, each of you. I want to ask each of you now, what's the one change Indian film criticism needs urgently? And for this one, I'll start with you, Rahul.
I mean, Indian film criticism, I just feel like because there is so much out there and because everyone has an opinion right now, I think it's very important to continue being a little brave, because, see, the thing is, I think a lot of us are in a position where we also have to depend on the same celebrities or the stars or the actors, for interviews, for access, for various things. That's how companies run, and egos are very big in this industry. So they do react to reviews, and Anu has borne the brunt of that over the years for my reviews. I've seen that. And it's easier for me to say that in this position right now, but it's very important to keep sort of calling out things that you don't think are right, you don't think fit in the larger landscape, because this is archival value. You don't want some kid in 2050 to be like, 2015-20 में अच्छी फिल्म बन रहे थे. झूठ है. It's not true. We are also most writers in that sense, journalists are historians also. It's their work that will be read over the years. And I think we owe it to our profession to sort of continue being honest in whatever way we can, because it's very easy to be like, let's not do it. Maybe let's just go softer. Let's just not do it. So it's becoming harder and harder, a little more complicated. The lines are getting blurred. I'm also in a position where I don't have to interview, so I can be a little more shameless sometimes. But I think that's important because the films aren't getting any better. The films are automatically connected to the socio-political landscape we are in, and we need to keep reading. We need to keep consuming information to know how films are a product of the country we live in.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much. Raja, what do you think needs to change?
I think a lot of critics today, a lot of younger critics, a lot of the video critics, the influencer kind of critics, are so reliant on social media and reach, and they're just trying to get noticed in some way. There's nothing wrong with trying to get noticed, but it's not because of the quality of the work. It's like they'll say nice things about an actor, and then they'll write a review and they'll send them a collab request or some such thing. So I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of I'll pat someone's back in order to get noticed. And I think that's really cheapening the whole situation right now. I feel like there's a lack of honesty. There's also a lack of outlets. There are very few outlets. When we started out, there were a lot of publications doing interesting reviews, interesting writing.
That's so interesting you say that, because I look at it as we are in abundance right now. Everywhere there is an outlet, or anyone who has a phone can become their own outlet. So that's interesting that you say that.
I just think that, yes, everyone has a voice, but I feel like without any journalistic rigor, I don't think I would have been whatever writer I am, I don't think I would have been there without the editors I had along the way, without people to kind of, guide me, show me the separation between church and state, and just tell you to stick by what you're saying with conviction. And I think that here it's not about conviction. Everything has become. I mean, again, I'm like old man, yelling at the kids here, but I feel like there is a sense of mimification to everything, right? When Rahul says that people will look back on 2020 and say that there were good films made here, that's only because it's like the kids today are looking at films from the 90s. Or the early 2000s and saying, oh, this is a masterpiece because this 10-second clip of it is funny. But they haven't had to endure all of it, So I think it's that. I think cinema needs to be taken, it's not a reel. we need to give it a little more attention.
Thank you for both of you. I'm sure you agree. Do you want to add something?
No, I mean,
Tanmay?
see, the thing is, a couple of things here, right? In terms of the number of platforms, sorry, when I started out, there were five film reviewers. They used to sit at famous studio, Deepa Gehlot, Khalid Mohammed, and a few others. There were 4 or 5 publications. Now, of course, it's held in the biggest possible screen in PVR, and there are all kinds of people, as there should be. I mean, there's no, a barrier to entry on who can be a movie critic. I think my issue, that too, one, I could never solve it, and I will not, because now it's too late, is film review ratings. You guys did. You don't do ratings anymore, but I do, because it's just, that's the nature of how it's been for so long for me. And the conversation is really about do dena chahiye tha, nahi teen dena chahiye tha. I'm like, what kind of conversation is this? Like, what does it mean? Who's giving these marks, right? So that I've sort of just lived with it and continued with it. Second is, I think the algorithm on social media really, really incentivizes extreme opinions. So if you just trash it crazy, it's like suddenly you're being shared. And if you say it's the greatest thing ever made, you suddenly see it being shared. I think most movies are somewhere between that greatness and the trashiest movie that ever came out in that year, right? So I think that complete, urge to go for either, I noticed that a lot on social media in general, and perhaps some of them are also professional film reviewers, right? So I think to just say it the way you saw it, rather than how many hits you're likely to get or what collab you've done either way.
I want to ask each of you, do you think that there was this film that you saw this year which will last for the next 10 years? Or are we not even making cinema like that anymore? You have it instantly.
Yeah. I think it's
Mayank,
one
go for it.
battle after another. I think it's going to last a few years.
I agree with you. Rahul?
Sinners. It's going to, it's already lasting, and it's going to last another century or so. It's just unforgettable.
Thank you so much. Anu, for you?
I would say both of those, as well as Sabar Bonda, a Marathi film, which was just beautiful.
Raja, for you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely. One battle after another. I've watched so many times I couldn't end up watching Homebound in the screens because I just kept going to IMAX over and over. On the Indian front, I was very impressed with Loka. I thought Loka was creative and groundbreaking in terms of taking a genre we've all seen so much of and to revitalize it and make it fresh. And I literally feel, I mean, given the kind of IP it's created, it will last 10 plus years. But it is an achievement. I really think it was a smart film made with heart and intelligence.
Well, I share that opinion with you. So thank you, each of you, for speaking with me for right now.